Greetings guys, this is Magnanimous Minds Lectures Online. We are doing mathematics and 3 coordinate geometry. We are given a question here whereby question 1 says determine the equation of a straight line that passes through A and B. 1.2 says calculate the angle of inclination in degrees of the line in question 1.1. Question 1.3 says point M is the midpoint of PQ. We are given this diagram and PQ is this line. Point M is the midpoint. And 3.1 1.3.1 says determine the coordinates of P. 1.3.2 says determine the length of MQ in the simplest set form. Then 1.4 we are given this diagram whereby it says the vertices of a triangle are given as A, B, and C. Question 1.4.1 says determine the value of x for which B angle BAC equals to 90. So BAC, so this is the angle, equals to 90. And it also says 1.4.2 says determine the equation of the circle with center at the origin and passing through point C. Here is point C. So let's work on answering those questions. Okay. There we go. 1.1 we are given A as 1, 3 and B as -2, -6, and we are told to determine the equation of the straight line that passes through both of this point. So we'll start by calculating the gradient. MAB equals to change in y over change in x, whereby we're going to say YB minus YA over XB minus XA. This is equals to YB is -6 minus YA is 3 over XB is -2 minus XA is 1, equals to, punch this into the calculator. So -6 minus 3 over -2 minus 1 gives us 3. Then we use this MAB. We use the formula y minus y1 equals to mx minus x1, and we choose A as our y1 and x1, so it's going to be y minus 3 equals to 3x minus 1. So this is going to be y equals to 3x minus 3. When we multiply this 3 times -1, then taking this 3 to this side is going to be positive, therefore y equals to 3x. That's the first question. And then 1.2 says the angle of inclination in degrees of the line in question 1, and we know that theta equals to tan inverse m. So angle is going to be tan theta MAB, which is tan inverse of 3. It's theta. If we punch that into the calculator, tan inverse of 3, 71.565 degrees. And we are done with the question 1.2. Then 1.3, it says determine the coordinates of P, and here we are given P as this point and M as the midpoint of PQ. So we're going to use the midpoint formula to get p. So we're going to see midpoint equals to x p plus x q over 2 yp plus yq over 2. And for x, for this x part, we have 1 over 2 equals to xp plus, and xq is 3 over 2. And here we've got 3 over 2 equals to yp plus, and yq is negative 1 over 2. So let's start by solving this. If we do that, going to multiply this, we're going to take these two to this side by cross multiplication. So it's going to be 2 over 2 equals to xp plus 3. Then we take 3 to the other side. Therefore xp is going to be negative 2. And then for y, we're going to do the same. When we solve this side for y, we're going to do the same cross multiplication of these two. So we're going to have 6 over 2 equals to yp minus 1. And then this is 3. Take the 1 to the other side, it's going to become 4. So we're going to have yp equals to 4. Therefore, the point P is negative 2 and 4. That's it for 1.3.1. Then 1.3.2 says determine the length of MQ. So dmq equals to, the distance formula says xq minus xm squared plus y q minus ym all squared. And then substitute what we have. So xq is 3, xm it's 1 over 2 squared plus yq it's negative 1, ym it's 3 over 2 all squared. It's dmq is, we punch this into the calculator, it's going to be square root of 3 minus 1 over 2 squared plus negative 1 minus 3 over 2 squared, and we get 5 square root 2 over 2, and units. We are told to leave it at the simplest set form, so we'll leave it as it is. Then we go to question 1.4.1. We are given a triangle with the vertices A it's 5, 5, B it's x 1, and C as 1 and negative 7. So we're told to determine the value of x. Okay, let me draw the triangle. Try to draw the triangle. Something like this. We've got A here, B here, C. So we are told to determine the value of x for which this angle it's 90 degrees. So to do that, we are going to use the the gradients of this line and this line, and if these two lines are perpendicular, the product of their gradients has to be negative 1. So we're going to say gradient of CA times gradient of AB equals to -1. Then gradient of MCA is going to say YA minus YC over XA minus XC times, and then here it's going to say YB minus YA over XB minus XA equals to -1, and we multiply, we substitute what we have. So YA is 5 and YC is 7 over, and then XA is 5 and XC is 1 times YB is 1, YA is -5, and for XB it's unknown X, so it's going to be X minus XA, which is 5, equals to -1. Oh, even here it's equals to -1. And then we're going to cross multiply, take this to the other side, so we'll be left with 5 plus 7 over 5 minus 1, it's 4, times 1 minus 5, -4, equals to this coming this side multiplied by -1 is -x, and this will be plus 5. Then when we add this, it becomes 12 divided by 4, it's 3, times -4 equals to -x plus 5. And we take this x to this side, and this we take it to the other side, so it's going to be x equals to 5 minus 12, so x equals to this is going to be positive, so it's going to be plus, and this will give us x equals to 17, and this means our point B 17, 1. That's it for 1.4.1. And then 1.4.2 says determine the equation of the circle with the center at the origin and passing through point P. So a point C, so if the origin is here at 0 and 0, and it passes at C, which is 1 and -7, so that means the distance is the radius of the circle is from 0 to C. So to calculate the radius, we're going to calculate the distance OC, and to do that, going to use the distance formula. So DOC equals to square root of XC minus XO squared plus YC minus YO squared. Substituting what we have is going to be 1 minus 0 squared plus T7 minus 0 squared. And we get it's going to be 1 squared, 1 minus 0 squared plus -7 0 squared. We get 5 square root, we get 5 square root 2, that's DOC, which is equals to R, and the general formula of a circle is x minus a squared plus x minus b squared equals to R squared, and a and b are the origins. So with ours the origins it's 0, it's going to be x minus 0 squared plus, oh yeah, it's y y minus 0 squared equals to, and then our r, that's 5 square root 2 squared, end up with x squared plus y squared equals to, this is going to be 10, this is going to be 2, so it's 10 times 2 is going to give us 20. No, this 5 squared, it's going to be 25, this is going to be 2, so it's going to give us 50. And that's it for this whole question of coordinate geometry. Thanks for watching Magnanimous Minds lectures online. Please do subscribe to our channel as well as liking our videos. Do follow us in our social media handles. On Facebook we are Magnanimous Minds, Instagram magnanimous_minds, and on Twitter we are at magnanimous mean1, mean spelled as MIN. And do mind that Magnanimous Minds, it's minds with a Z, not S. Thank you.